Hello and welcome to this tutorial for the board game Evil Dead 2. In this game you'll be working together until you find out that at least one player might be working for the other side. Here's how it goes. You are going to keep playing until either one side wins, good or evil, or everybody loses. The good guys win when they have placed a certain number of these Necronomicon pages up here on this track. The bad guys win when they've managed to fill this other track with Necronomicon tokens, or this corruption deck runs out of cards. And everyone loses if at the end of the round there are no more cards on this event deck. So again, the good guys need to fill this track with tokens to win, and the bad guys need to fill this track with tokens to win, or at least stretch the game for long enough for these cards to run out. Before I explain the game, I would first like to say this. You start the game with one of these corruption cards, and you can't look at them. This card will either say that you are human or a deadite. That means you're either a hero or a bad guy. As soon as you get one of these Necronomicon tokens, you can look at your own card. Or if during the game you get a second card, you can also look at all these cards you have. As soon as you see you have a card that says Deadite, you are now on the side of evil. You don't have to tell anyone if you don't want to. Just try to sabotage the game. Anyway, how do you play the game? Each round is 3 steps. Step 1. Take the top card from this event deck and do whatever it says. Step 2. All the heroes get their turn. And step 3. The evil does something. So let me explain that a little more in detail. Step 1. Take one of these event cards. First you have to place these figures on the board. These are Deadite minions. As you can see, the card tells you exactly how many to place and where to place them, because that is based on with how many players you are. When you've placed all the monsters, just do whatever it says on the bottom of the event card. And that's already it. Step 2. All the players get their turn. You start with the first player and then go clockwise around the table. Every player takes all their actions and then it's the next player's turn. When every player has had a turn, it's time for step 3. First, every Deadite minion moves 1 step toward the closest hero. Then every bigger monster that is on the board moves. What each bigger monster does will be written on its own card, one of these ones that say Boss. After all the monsters have moved, they attack the heroes. I'll come back to that in a moment. But when all the monsters have attacked, the round is over. You pass the first player token to the left and start the next round. Now, what do you do when it's your turn? If you are playing with 3 or 4 players, every person gets to take 3 actions. If you are playing with 5 or 6 people, every player gets to take 2 actions. You can choose what you want to do. You can even do the same thing more than once if you want. Here are the actions you can choose from. Things you can do when it's your turn. 1. Move. Your own character card shows speed. That means how many steps you can move. If you look at the board, you can easily see what the spaces are. If there's one of these things on the board, this is a barrier and you can't move through this. You can climb through a window, though, but you have to stop once you're on the other side of it. 2. When it's your turn, you could also choose to pick up all the tokens that are in your space. You take one to keep and return the rest face down to the board. You are allowed to tell the other players what it says on the other tokens. Then again, you are also allowed to lie about that in case you're secretly evil. The third thing that you can do when it's your turn is either give one or more items to another player or receive one or more items from another player. You can't both exchange things. 4. Another action is attacking monsters. I'll come back to that in a moment. 5. The last thing you can do when it's your turn, and you already have at least one of these Necronomicon tokens, is you can cast a spell. What spells are is written on your player board in front of you. Some are for the heroes, and some are for players that became evil. It will say so on your board. It also says how many of these tokens you need to have to do the spell. And for some spells you might even have to roll the dice and maybe take a card from this corruption deck. One of the spells you can choose from is place one of these tokens on this track here. If you're on this space that says Portal, you can do that spell. And keep in mind that putting tokens here is what wins you the game. So again, when it's your turn, you can choose to move, pick up tokens and keep one, give or receive from another player, attack one or more monsters, or cast a spell if you have at least one Necronomicon token. If you have other tokens, you can also use those during your turn. They do not count as an action. One important thing I would like to say about this board is that there are 2 mistakes on it. The first one is this. I told you that you can cast a spell during your turn. This spell says that you have to have at least 3 Necronomicon tokens to do the spell. This is incorrect. You only need 2 Necronomicons for this particular spell. And the other mistake on this board is here, the holy water. It doesn't say you have to discard the token to use it, but you do have to. You can't keep it after you've used it. Let me get back to attacking monsters. If you are in the same space as at least one monster, you can attack. Here's how that goes. It's quite easy. On your own character card, it says attack. That is how many dice you can use when you attack. If there are more than one monster in your space, you attack all of them at once. So, you roll the dice. This icon for a chainsaw is a win. This icon of a skull is a fail. And this empty side is neutral. For every chainsaw you roll, you can remove one monster from your space. If it's a special monster, just look at its own card to see how that works. But there are some extra rules. First, if you roll more chainsaws than skulls, everything is fine. You don't need to do anything extra. But if you roll just as many chainsaws as skulls, then you can still remove the monsters from the board, but after that you have to do a virtue check. Look at your character card again to see how many dice you roll. If you win by rolling mostly chainsaws, nothing happens. But if you roll mostly skulls, then you have to take one card from this corruption deck. And that increases your chances of becoming evil. And finally, if you roll more skulls than chainsaws during your attack, you don't get to remove a monster. Instead, you have to take one wound and take this token and place it on your character. And then you also have to do that virtue check again. But that's how you attack. Roll the dice and see the outcome. Feel free to check the rulebook if you can't quite remember all of this. We're almost done. Let me get back to the monsters. When all the heroes have had their turn, it's time for evil to do something. First, all these smaller dead-eyed minions move one step to the closest hero. If it's already there in the same space, just leave it. If it's in front of a barrier, it can't come through. If more than one are in front of a window, only one can climb through this round. If it's a bigger monster, check the card to see how that one moves. And then, when they've all moved, they attack the heroes. That goes the same, but the other way around. You have to roll one of the dice for each monster. If there are more skulls than chainsaws, you are hit and you have to take a wound. And maybe you have to drop one of your tokens. Check the rulebook for that. But that's it. The last thing to mention is that when you find out that you are no longer a hero but a bad guy because you received a corruption card that says you are a deadite, then keep in mind that you don't have to reveal that straight away. But when you do something that is obviously evil, you must tell everyone that you're working for the bad side. The rulebook will show you the options for when you must reveal yourself. We're done. This is how you play Evil Dead 2. So far it seems that it's more likely for the heroes to win the game. If that's not enough of a challenge for you, other players online might have some tips for you on how to make it more difficult. Either way, I hope you feel like you understand how to play this game and that you'll enjoy it. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Feel free to leave a comment and see you for the next one.